Radhe Radhe,
Radhe
Hare
Radhe.
Krishna, welcome.
Hari Bol.
Hari Bol. Today was a very hot one in Vrindavan. It's the beginning of summer. And we've been locked down until the beginning of May, so very fortunately for us, we get to be with all of you for a little bit longer in this way. So we're going to start with Mangalacharan, page 1. Can you tell me who's there? Jayanti, Radhe Radhe. Who?
Rebecca Hardy, Lalita Priya's here.
Haribo.
Haribol.
Jane Allison.
That's Jayanti. She's like, hey.
Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Nityanamine. Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine. Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshakarine. Namaho Vishnupadaya Gaurapreshthaya Bhutale. Srimad Bhakti Pratyano Deshavo Nityanamine. Atimanya Charitraya Swashritanam Chapaline. Jivanudhe Sadarthaya Srinama Premadayine. Namaho Vishnupadaya Krishna Presthaya Bhutale. Srimate Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Nityanamine. Shri Varshabhanami Devi Kalkaya Kripabhaye. Krishna Sambandha Vigyano Gaiye Prabhave Namaha Madhuryo Jvala Premadhya Shri Rupanuga Bhaktida Shri Gaura Karuna Shakti Vigrahaya Namostute Namaste Gauravani Shri Murtaye Dinapalini Rupanuga Virudhapo Siddhanta Bhankahari Namo Gaura Kishoraya Shakshat Vairagyamurtaye Viprayambhara Sambodhe Padam Jayate Namaha Namo Bhakti Vinodaya Satchidananda Namine Gaura Shakti Swarupaya Rupanugamarayate Gaura Virhava Bhumestam Nirdesha Sajanapriya Vaisnava Sarvabhauma Shri Jagannathayate Namaha Vanchakalpatarubhyascha Kripasindhubhya eva cha Patitanam pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Namo Mahavananyaya Krishna Prema Pradayate Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Namne Gauratvishe Namaha He Krishna Karuna Sindho Dinabandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kantam Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanusute Devi Pranamami Haripriye Jayatam Suratopango Mamannamate Gati Matsarvasvapanambo Jo Radha Madanamohan Divyam Vrindaranyakalpadumalo Srimad Ratnagara Sinhasanastho Shri Shri Radha Shri Govinda Deva Krishna Senyamana Shrivandrasarasarambhi Vanshivatatatastitah Karshanvenu Svanayoti Gopinata Shri Sunah Vrindai Tulasi Devai Priyai Jeshavasya Cha Krishna Bhakti Pradedevi Satyavatyai Namo Namaha Panchatattvatmakam Krishnam Bhaktarupaswarupakam Bhaktavataram Bhaktakyam Namami Bhaktashaktikam Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhaktavrinda Cheto Darpanamarjanam Bhavamahadavam Nirvapanam Shreya Kairava Chandrika Vitaranam Vidyavadhujivanam Anandam Buddhimardhanam Pratipadam Purnamritashvadanam Sarvatmasnapanam Param Vijayate Shri Krishna Sankirtanam Hare Nama Hare Nama Hare Nama Kevalam Kalo Nastyeva 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 Gatiranyata Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare
Is to Charana Kamala Bhajan in the Gaudiya Kirtana?
Jiyu Aru.
I've been in India a very long time.
Jiyu Aru.
G-U-R-U Charana. C-A-R-A-N-A. That was for you, Jayanti.
Was it page 359?
359.
That's what I need. I can't do it.
Is it still on?
Madhukar's with us today.
Madhukar.
Madhukar's.
Radhe Radhe.
Radhe Radhe.
Nandini, Nava Kishori, Didi, Lakna, Reva, so many. Dandavat Pranama.
Danda Pranama. Shri Guru Charana Kamala Arjaman. Shri Guru Charana Kamala Bhajaman. Charana Kamala Bhajaman. Shri Guru Charana Kamala Bhajaman. Shri Guru Charana Kamala
Vaishnav Thakur.
Page 39, starting with Ohe, O-H-E.
Jiva Pavana Prabhu is here now. He'll probably post it if you don't have the Gaudiya app or the book. Thank you, Jiva Pavana Prabhu. So, Ohe Vaishnav Thakur. O-H-E. Ohe Vaishnav Thakur. Jiva Pavana Prabhu posted it.
Ohe Vaishnava Thakuro Doyaro Shano Vigase Karuna Puri Ohe Vaishnava Thakuro Diya Bogo Chaya Shubho Heya Tomaro Chaya Jaya Vaishnava Thakur, Jaya Vaishnava Thakur, Vaishnava Thakur, Jaya Vaishnava Thakur. Later on, I want to do Hari Hari Kare Mona Brave Sudina. Prasakya Bhava Shri Rama Subha. Do you want to lead Young Kali Rupa?
Young Kali Rupa Sharira Nadharata, page 47, starts Y-A-N-K-A-L-I. Young Kali.
Page 47. No.
No? Right inside.
Nityananda Patimor Gaurachandra. Page 91 in this book. Dhanamor Nityananda, starting with Dhama. Dhana.
Give them a chance to find it.
Hari Hari, Kabimor Hoive Sudina.
Page number?
122.
So it starts Hari Hari, Jayanti Hari, Kavimora Hoibe Sudina. 122 in the small book.
Srila Gurudev sang this bhajan for Srila Prabhupada just before Srila Prabhupada departed from our vision in this world. Some people claim that no maidservant or anyone in Gopi Bhav would want to meditate on anything in Sakya Bhav, except that this bhajan is written by Srila Narottam Das Thakur, who is also in Gopi Bhav. It has been sung by all of our Gaudiya Vaishnava acharyas who are also in Gopi Bhav, including our Srila Prabhupada, our Srila Gurudev. It's very beautiful and powerful, but because today is Abhiram Thakur's day, and he is Sridam Saka in Krishna Lila, here it says Sakya Bhave, Sridam Subala Adi Saka. So we're singing this bhajan. It's just a reminder of all of the beautiful places and transcendental associates of Krishna in Vrindavan. They're spraying stuff in Vrindavan now for I don't know, for bugs or viruses or who knows what. At the same time, they're sprinkling rose petals on the police officers and on the people who are in hazmat suits spraying. So this is Vrindavan. But there are allergens in the air. We won't be able to do Madhava Hay today, unfortunately. It's just the way it is.
But probably tomorrow.
Maybe tomorrow. We'll see if the toxins clear up. How about the other one? What was it? Ramani?
Ramani Shiroma.
Ramani Shiromani Vishwan Nandini. Page 104, starting with Ramani, R-A-M-A-N-I. Ramani Shiromani, 104.
There's no others.
Oh man, Madhukar, I wish you were here right now.
Is he still watching? He's still there.
Nila No.
I can't use the app because I can't scroll.
I think you just need to just
Get a new book.
But I can't right now.
What? This bookworm's here. Manjulali will get one for you. Oh.
Who's Manjulali?
No, that's Manjulata.
Who's Manjulali?
Spanish.
Oh, can I write her to get me one? Isn't that Manjulaka?
Maybe it's the fan.
Yeah, could be. It says they're on. Are you on? Is it working? Hello, Radhe Radhe. Hold on a second. Zoom. Rotate your device. Radhe Radhe, are you there? Are we here?
Are we back?
Haribol? Are we back? Please confirm.
Is everyone with us?
Yeah, they're here. They're here. Okay.
Sorry about that.
We have multiple redundancies.
Sorry. Can you turn the fan down?
Just one click to the left.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare.
नित्यानंद प्रभु की जय, प्रेम पुरुषोत्तम सचिनंदन गौर हरि की जय, श्री राधा विनोद बिहारी जी की जय, राधा रमण सरकार की जय, गिरिराज महाराज की जय, हरे कृष्ण महामंत्र की जय, हरिनाम संकीर्तन की जय, श्री हरिराम ठाकुर की जय, श्री केशव व्रत की जय, गौर भक्तवृंद की जय, निताय गौर प्रेमानंदे हरि हरि बोल। गुरवे गौरचंद्राय राधिकाय तदालये कृष्णाय कृष्णभक्ताय तद्भक्ताय नमो नमः। अज्ञानतिमिरान्धस्य ज्ञानञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मीलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। नमः विष्णुपदाय राधिकाय प्रियात्मने श्रीमद् भक्तिवेदान्त नारायण नित्यनामिने। नमः विष्णुपदाय कृष्णप्रेष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्त स्वामी नित्यनामिने। वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। श्रीकृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवासादि गौर भक्तवृंद। हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। मुखं करोति वाचालं पंगुं लंघयते गिरिं, यत्कृपातमहं वन्दे श्रीगुरुं दीनतारिणं। First of all, I offer my Dandava Pranam thousands of times into the dust of the lotus feet of our beloved Gurudev, Nitya Lila Pravishta Om Vishnupad, astottara Shri Srimad, Srila Bhaktivedanta Narayan Goswami Maharaj, and the same into the dust of the lotus feet of Nitya Lila Pravishta Om Vishnupad, astottara Shri Srimad, Srila Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada, to our Rupanuga Gauriya Guru Varga, and to all Vaishnavas, past, present, and future, including all of those who are watching on Facebook Live, my Dandava Pranam.
Dandava Pranam.
So today is Keshava Vrat, the beginning of bathing Shalagram Shila constantly through the whole month, because it begins to become very hot, and today is the first very hot day. We had to turn the fans from 1 to 3.
Ooh, that's why I was coughing, by the way. I'm sorry about
For
that.
allergies.
She's not sick.
Sudevi, for allergies.
Oh, okay.
So it's the first day of bathing Shalagram constantly for the whole month. Tulsi and Jal, constantly serving Shalagram Shila. Interestingly enough, Shalagram Shila is seen many different ways. Thank you. Excuse me. Shalagram Shila is seen many different ways. Generally, we understand that Shalagram is Narayan, but those who worship Shalagram Shila, they see that I have so many different Shilas: Padmanabha Shila, Hiranyagarbha Shila, Radharman Shila, Aprakat Kamdev Shila, so many different forms, Gopal, Damodar, this one, that one. But in reality, all of those Shalagrams, if one is worshipping Shalagram Shila, their Ishtadev will manifest through that form, as we've already spoken previously. If we are worshipping and our heart and mind is one-pointed, then we will see somehow that particular form. How is that form manifested
within or from my Ishtadev. Like Hanuman will only see Ram everywhere, Garud will only see Narayan or Dwarkadish Krishna. The cowherd boys, Srimati Radhika, they only see Braj Krishna. All the gopis only see Braj Krishna. When Mahaprabhu is looking upon Jagannath, he's seeing him as Sakshat Brajendra Nandan, non-different, exactly the same as Brajendra Nandan, Shyamasundar Krishna of Vrindavan. And so one will see their shalagrams appropriately, or shalagram will manifest like that. And we can also meditate. You know, in the very early morning, at the time of Mangalarti, we sing one bhajan. Vibhavari Shesha, Aloka Pravesha, Nidrachari Utajiva, Bolo Hari Hari Mukunda Murari, Rama Krishna Hayagriva, Nishringha, Baman, Srimad Sudan, Brajendra Nandanasham, Putana Dhatana, Kaitabashatana, Jaya Dasharati Ram. So here you have Dasharati Ram, Nishringa, Vaman, Hayagriva, Rama Krishna Hayagriva. But we're singing this at Nishanta Lila time in front of Radha and Krishna. This is something to think about very, very deeply if one is actually hoping to move forward on the path of bhakti or devotion toward Radha and Krishna. Why are we singing the name of Nrisingha at 4 o'clock in the morning? Why are we singing the name of Dasarati Ram at 4 o'clock in the morning to Radha and Krishna in the private, quiet time of Mangal Arti? What is the meaning of Mangal Arti? There's so many things to think about. It's not just standing in front of the deities, rocking back and forth, doing the Swami step. That's not the purpose of Mangal Arti. Or even just standing very still and singing. Everything that we do on the path of bhakti has a very deep, specific purpose for our progress on the path of bhakti, rupanuga bhakti. Everything has been given for a specific reason, and it is favorable for our bhakti. How is it favorable? That is something we must search. The treasure map is there. We have the obligation to take that treasure map and search and find that treasure. Incidentally, today is the appearance of, I wanted to say first, Kesha Vrat. So Kesha Vrat is also the time of worshipping Krishna. Although for any bhakta, it is always the time of worshipping Krishna. Just like in Kartik Vrat, that is the month of Srimati Radhika, we focus every day. It is her month. Radha Vrat, Urja Vrat. This is the month of Krishna, so we're worshipping Shalagram constantly. And it is recommended in Shastra that one takes very strong vows to do certain things. It doesn't say exactly what one should do, or maybe it does, but certain things like chanting regulated Harinam with deep conviction, taking shelter of Harinam Prabhu, doing activities in bhakti, avoiding anything which is unfavorable for bhakti, and making a firm resolution to do that. So at this time, especially in lockdown, there's not many requirements on us. You can't go to work. Everyone has to eat something, so make that part of the vrat. First, I offer with intention to Krishna, and then I honor it as Mahaprasad. We have to be clean. Well, we have to be clean anyway to take care of Krishna, to take care of Thakurji. Even to chant our mantras, we have to be clean. So we can make all of the activities that we do within our environment favorable for bhakti. And it's such an amazing time. It can be seen as the most horrible time, or it can be seen as the most favorable time, depending on our consciousness. For those who are conscious of Krishna, this is our chance. This is our opportunity to do the very rare Nirjan Bhajan, to go deep into calling out in Harinam, to Harinam Prabhu, where no other eyes can see you, where you can be in your private place and you can cry out like a baby crying for its mother with tears in your eyes. There's such an opportunity now that we have no obligation to go to work, no obligation to do so many other things, driving around and doing all sorts of nonsensical things, but actually to make our time and our energy for Krishna. So Keshava Vrat gives us thousands of times the benefit if we are doing these positive things for devotion to Krishna in the path of bhakti during this special month, the lunar month of Keshava Vrat. And before I was telling you about, today is also the day of Abhiram Thakur. Our Gurudev, Srila Bhaktivedanta Narayan Goswami Maharaj, was speaking about Abhiram Thakur in a very interesting way, shedding light on so many things. Abhiram Thakur is generally seen as quite an eccentric personality. He's an associate of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu or Nityananda Prabhu. In fact, he's an eternal associate of Krishna, Sri Ram Sakha, who resided in this world after the departure of Krishna. I remember going every year to Bandirvan with our Srila Gurudev. And then we would walk across the fields and go to this other place. What do we call it? Bandirvat? Vangshivat. In the area of Bandirvan, where Radha and Krishna had performed their Gandharva marriage, which was orchestrated by Lord Brahma. It's not a real marriage, it's a Gandharva marriage. In the same way that two beloveds would come together and promise their heart to one another and maybe even exchange garlands, but still they're not technically married because the parents aren't there, the families aren't there, Yagya's not there, but it was a Gandharva marriage which took place in Bandirvan. So our Gurudev brought us all to that place. He would describe the pastimes of that place, and I specifically remember our Srila Gurudev petitioning all of the devotees that I want to make sure to maintain these places so that they are not lost. Some people have the illusion that our Gurudev was dealing in politics, trying to plant trees and arguing with the government that we should have Jamuna water here and doing all of these things, that it was some political play that he was doing. It's not. He was only doing Dham Seva. Every activity of his was directly bhakti, devotion to Krishna. So engaging us and making sure that these places would not be lost. This is also Dham Seva, to keep it nice. There was no mundanity in our Srila Gurudev. And you could test, but there was not. He would speak with politicians and beg them, please allow Jamuna water to flow here. Why? Because Radha and Krishna are performing their pastimes. He would say, I will vote for you, and my disciples will vote for you, if you will plant trees in Uddhav Kyari. And then, one night, he arranged for hundreds of thousands of trees to be planted in Uddhav Kyari. And then 2 days later, the government found out, and they were like, wait a second, you're not allowed to do that. And he said, it's already done. I don't even know who did it, but they did it in the night. So our Gurudev was always trying to serve the Dham. Anyway, I don't want to get too sidetracked on this, but this is an important point. So in that same area, there's a place known as Vangshivat. And Srila Gurudev would go there and speak such beautiful Harikatha in Sakya Bhav. Because Sakya Bhav is also fully manifested to its highest extent within anyone in Madhurya Rasa. Means within Gopi Bhav. Who has the mood of the gopis. All Sakya Bhav, all Vatsalya Bhav, all Dasya Shant, everything is manifest in its maximum, entirety within that. So they can also experience. As in Srimad Bhagavatam, there's one chapter in the 10th canto, or of Krishna book, which is also 10th canto, where the gopis are at home, but in their bhav netra, within their mind's eyes, they are feeling how fortunate are Krishna's cowherd boyfriends. We have to be stuck here at home, doing all sorts of menial household labors, chores, but our hearts want to be with Krishna. They want to run with Krishna freely. How fortunate are those cowherd boys? What great austerities did they perform in their previous lives to have this kind of association with Krishna where they can go to the forest with him carefree, dancing and singing with the cows and Krishna, laughing and sharing each other's food, their prasadam, with each other, completely carefree. If only we could be like a cowherd boy. So this is a bhav inside their mind, inside their heart. But ultimately, they would never ever change. But still there's something inside which is there. It's also present. They understand that mood. So when our Gurudev would speak in this Vangshivat, in greater Bandirvan, he would also be weeping, remembering what? Krishna, Baladev, and so many cowherd boys, they were playing in that area with Sridam, Sudam, Dam, Vasudam, Madhumangal, all cowherd boys. And then Krishna and Balaram went to another place. Where did they go? They went to play in Navadvip. It is said in certain places that they had left him, maybe they were playing a game of hide and seek, but Krishna and Baladev became so absorbed in their pastimes, they forgot to collect this Sridam. Sridam remained in that place, weeping and crying in separation. There's one bhajan that we sing at Udhav Kund. Every time we would go to Udhav Kund at Govardhan with our Gurudev. Manaro lagena sakiri, Manaro lagena sakiri mero, Shyama bina manaro lagena. And there's one line in there. It's talking Gwal Bal Savat Tarap Hai. I don't even know how to pronounce it, if it's Tarap or Taraf, but anyhow, that the cowherd boys in separation from Krishna are like fish out of water. They're in such a state of desperation in separation from Krishna. So in such a state, Sridam Sakha was there, residing and remaining at this Vangshivat, waiting again for the return of Krishna. When will he return? When will he return? But he decided to remain. Although Krishna and all of his associates left this world, and then Krishna reappeared in the form of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Nityananda Prabhu, this Sridam stayed there in Vangshivat at Bandirvan in Vrindavan, Greater Vrindavan, only weeping in separation from Krishna. Very powerful place. And there, it is said that when he met Nityananda Prabhu, because he's also an associate of Nityananda Prabhu, Baladev Prabhu, right? Balarama Hoilo Nitai. That because Sridam is of a different yuga, in that time, persons were much larger. We've also seen this in the history of Muchukunda. Muchukunda was from Satya Yuga. He had been fighting the demons. On the side of the demigods, he had been fighting against the demons, and he was such a valiant warrior. So he wanted a benediction that he could sleep for a long time because he was exhausted. So he was sleeping in a special mountain cave. Krishna knew he was sleeping in a mountain cave and also knew that the desire of Muchukunda was to have darshan of Krishna. So Krishna was being chased. He has a name called Ranchor, who's being chased. He was being chased by one demon, Kalyavana. And this demon Kalyavana was chasing him everywhere. I believe it was Kalyavana. And Krishna was running from him. And then Krishna hid, and this Kalyavana thought he went into the cave, so Kalyavana entered that cave. The benediction Muchukunda had was, whoever wakes me up prematurely, when I open my eyes, they will immediately burn to ashes. So Kalyavana ran in and kicked Muchukunda, not realizing. Muchukunda opened his eyes and burned Kalyavana to ashes by opening his eyes. Then Krishna entered, and Muchukunda saw the beautiful form of Krishna and offered so many prayers. But in Bhagavatam, in the Shastra, it is said that Muchukunda was massive because he was from Satya Yuga. Their bodies were different size. Huge, massive. And then as the yugas progress, people become smaller. In Treta Yuga, then Dvapara Yuga, and then Kali Yuga. And according to Shastra, in Kali Yuga, people will begin to become even smaller. as there is more pestilence, more disease, more starvation, more problems that come closer to the end of Kali Yuga. It says in Srimad Bhagavatam, they will have shorter statures. So, this Sridham Sakha was very large, but by the grace of Nityananda Prabhu, he was made smaller to fit the Kali Yuga size persons so that he would not be disrupted or disturbed. But he was a very special transcendental personality, like Nityananda Prabhu. One thing that we should acknowledge about these transcendental personalities, because they are eternal associates of Krishna, not only are they beyond the rules and regulations of Scripture, they themselves make Scripture. Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Prabhupada explained what is Scripture, what is Shastra. It is nothing but the words of the pure devotees. And any Scripture which does not line up with the words of the pure devotees actually makes itself unworthy to be heard. Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Prabhupada establishes this point. It needs to be in alignment. We don't only follow Shastra, we follow Guru, Sadhu, and Shastra, and we understand Shastra in the association of Guru and Sadhu, not by ourselves. Otherwise, we can be hopelessly lost forever. So, this personality, Sridham, who is very near and dear to Krishna. In fact, there's one beautiful pastime. Once upon a time, Durvasa was watching in Vrindavan as Krishna and the cowherd boys were playing a game. And this game was a game of wrestling. So at that time, Sridham and Krishna were wrestling. And Sridham jumped on Krishna, threw him in the dust, jumped on top of him and said, I have won this wrestling match. Krishna was on his back, looking up at Sridham. And he's like, no, you have not. I won. Sridham was like, what happened to him? Why is he saying he won? He's on the ground. I'm on top. Of course I won and you lost. And how did you win? He said. Krishna said, because my nose is pointing up and yours is pointing down. Therefore I won. And he was like, that's not fair. That's not fair. And all the cowherd boys were laughing. And Sridham's like, let's take this to that old Baba there. He can be the judge. So they went to this Baba, who was Durvasa. Durvasa is witnessing Aho bhagyam nanda gopa prajokasam yan mitram paramanandam purnam brahma sanatana. Oh my God, how fortunate are Nanda Baba, Yashoda, and the personalities of Braj, that Krishna is playing like an ordinary boy. He is Purna Brahma Sanatana, the supreme absolute truth. And he's just been slammed in the dust by his friend. His friend jumps on top of him and then he's trying to get his way out of being defeated by making some silly excuse. Durvasa was completely shocked, gobsmacked. His mouth was open. He was stunned. Oh my God. Literally, oh my God. Seeing him in this kind of situation. So these two boys went to him and they were like, you saw everything, Krishna and Sridham. You saw everything. Tell us who was the real winner. And he couldn't say anything. They sat on his lap, one on either leg, and they were asking him, come on, tell us. Don't lie, you saw everything. And he just was completely stunned. And then they began pulling on his beard. Come on, tell us. And then they're looking at him like, what's wrong with you? Are you deaf? Are you dumb? It is said at that time, Durvasa saw into the mouth of Krishna. And then he entered into the mouth of Krishna and wandered throughout the Brahmandas for millions and millions of years. And then came back out again. And there he was sitting there with Krishna and Sridham on his lap, completely shocked. What's going on? What is happening? And then they said, he's useless. He doesn't know anything. He's deaf. He's dumb. And then Krishna and Sridham went off and continued playing with all of the cowherd boys. So our Gurudeva would tell this pastime quite often when he was speaking about Sakyabhav. How intimate is Sridham with Krishna? How they're wrestling, how they're playing, how much love and affection they have for each other. So this Sridham remained there at Bangshivat, only weeping and weeping. in desperate separation from Krishna. One place I read today, it is said that Nityananda Prabhu came and said, I am Balaram. And Srila was laughing, right. If you were Balaram, then run. And if I can catch you, then...
Catch you.
Huh? Sorry, I'm going to run, and if you can catch me, then this will be proof that you are Balaram. Very easily, Nitai caught him, and then he realized, okay, you are Balaram. And then he said, your Prabhu is in Navadvip now. Krishna is there in Navadvip. So this personality was transformed from the form of Sridham to smaller Abhiram Thakur. And then he went to Navadvip and was associating with Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and the Chaitanya Charita Amrita, the nectar of the glories and the qualities of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. He was associating with Mahaprabhu and all of his associates. It is said that he was quite eccentric, as was Nityananda Prabhu. Mind you, Nityananda Prabhu broke Mahaprabhu's sannyas danda and threw it in the Ganga. That's quite eccentric. Nityananda Prabhu was known as being eccentric. Then you see Pundarik Vidyanidhi, eccentric. You see so many great personalities that from our mundane perspective are eccentric. And this Abhiram Thakur had one very specific eccentricity. What was that? He carried a whip with him. That whip was named Jai Mangal. It means auspicious and victorious. Why was his whip auspiciously victorious? Because anyone he would hit with it would immediately start feeling praying for Krishna. The pure devotee can bless anyone. Atoms of praying are manifesting from their form. As they want, they can awaken praying. Narada Muni can put his hand on your head in one moment and praying can start to awaken in your heart. We've seen this also with that disciple who gave his life. He placed himself in front of the water to block the water from flooding his guru's ashram. When his guru found him, he embraced him and in that moment blessed him with all divine transcendental knowledge. So this Abhiram Thakur, anyone he would hit with his whip or whip with his whip, they would immediately begin to develop praying. Yes? Oh. They would immediately begin to develop the symptoms of praying. It is said that one time, Srinivas, was it Srinivas? Srinivas.
Yes.
Our Srinivas Acharya, who wrote Sri Shad Goswami Ashtakam, Srinivas, or is it Srivas Thakur? I read it as Srinivas today.
It was Srinivas.
Srinivas. So,
who came to study under Jiva Goswami.
Yes.
Srinivas.
He was given the mercy of Janava Thakurani, the dust of her lotus feet, and then she sent him on to Abhiram Thakur. This Abhiram Thakur, when Srinivas Acharya paid his Dandavat Pranam to Abhiram Thakur hit him 3 times with his whip, and immediately the Srinivas began to experience symptoms of praying. How powerful are the pure devotees. But some people would look like, wow, that's very strange. There's also some histories that as he would offer pranam to anyone who was less than him, like Advaita Acharya. We know Advaita Acharya, he did not want to offer pranam to any deity of Durga. He did not. Or Kali. Even though they were trying to force him, even when he was young, but he wouldn't. Why? Because he's Sadashiva or Vishnu. So he did not want to. Why? Because she would not be able to tolerate it. In the same way that Mahadev, Rameshwar Mahadev was not able to tolerate when everyone was saying, Lord Shiva is the Ishvar of Ram. Therefore he broke out of the Shiva Lingam and said, no, you're all wrong. Rameshwar means Ram is my Ishvar. In the same way, they were trying to force Advaita Acharya to offer pranam to this murti in the temple. And he was like, no, I can't. Why? She would not tolerate it. And they said, do it. You have to do it. And the king was like, offer your pranam. So he said, okay. He offered his pranam. The deity shattered into 1,000 pieces. Why? Because she is his servant. She could not tolerate having her Vishnu, she's the younger sister, offering pranam to her. She could not tolerate it. So in the same way, this Abhiram Thakur, it is said that if he would offer pranam to anyone who was not a highly transcendental, divinely awakened personality, immediately, they would disappear from this world. It means they would lose their current body and continue onward. But he offered pranam to the one daughter of Sri Nityananda Prabhu, who is non-different from Ganga. Ganga is the holy water which bathes the feet of Vishnu, which Lord Shiva always takes on his head, the Charanamrit of Vishnu, the form of Charanamrit known as Ganga. He takes Ganga on his head. So this same Ganga is continuously purifying the heavens and the earth. Why? Because she is transcendental. Gangang basang nakalubud budapena pankar. Although she may have foam, bubbles, mud or anything, still she's completely transcendental and pure through and through, and she can awaken bhakti for the Lord. That's why Advaita Acharya, when he was calling for Mahaprabhu, he was calling for Krishna, you must come now. How was he calling? This is appropriate because today is the first day of bathing Shalagram with Tulsi and Ganga water. He was weeping and bathing Shalagram constantly with Tulsi, with Ganga Jal and his tears. And by that, it is said that the throne of Narayan in Vaikuntha was shaking. And he was saying, even though he was capable of giving the Yuga Dharma, he wanted for this world that something more beneficial would be there. What is that? Unless Krishna Prem is given, means Braja Prem, there is no reason for this world to exist. So Advaita Acharya was petitioning the Lord profusely on behalf of all of us fallen conditioned souls. And what form did that Lord manifest in? The most munificent, magnanimous, beautiful, combined form of Radha and Krishna. Shri Shachinandan Gaura Hari. Namo Mahavaranyaya Krishna Prema Pradayate Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Namne Gauratashe Namah. Shri Shachinandan Gaura Hari Ki Jai. So I was making this point that there are sometimes apparent eccentricities within transcendental substances like the Ganga. Rupa Goswami in Sri Upadeshamrita found it essential. 11 verses called the Nectar of Instruction. The Nectar of Instruction. Upadesh Amrita. Amrita means nectar. Upadesh means instruction. Only 11 verses are there. And of these 11 verses, one of them is talking about being extremely careful about not judging the pure devotee based on their external features, based on their external activities, based on their external mannerisms or deformities. For example, there was one rishi, his name was Ashtavakra Rishi. Ashtavakra means he was crooked in 8 places. And there was an assembly called, at the time of Janak Maharaj, the father of Sita, there was an assembly called of all saints, sadhus, very intelligent persons. And this Ashtavakra Rishi was also one of these persons who was invited, because all saints and sadhus were invited to come and to give Harikatha, to share. Janak Rishi is known as one of the Mahajans, one of the great personalities, who is always equipoised. He was the one we spoke about previously, who was the judge about what is love between Ram and Bharat. And he was actually awakening this truth about Anyabhilashita Shunyam. What is it? Anukulina Krishna Anushilanam. What is love? It is for the happiness, pleasure, and benefit of the object of the love. It has no selfishness, nothing to take, everything to give. This is Janak Maharaj. So, at his assembly, this Ashtavakra Rishi, he entered. At that time, so many began to laugh. And he said, I thought I was coming to an assembly of intelligent persons, but I realized I'd come to an assembly of leather workers, shoemakers. And they were like, what? Shoemakers? Leather workers? And then Janak Maharaj immediately understood. We have made offense to this person. Janak Maharaj got off the throne, placed this Ashtavakra Rishi on the throne and then asked him to preach to everyone about reality, about the truth. What does he mean by leather workers? They only saw him according to his skin, to the external. They didn't understand the internal nature of him, and they were laughing and judging him according to the external. Our Gurudev in this connection, our Srila Prabhupada, all of our Acharyas, and Chaitanya Mahaprabhu have made this point extremely clearly. These days especially, you find that people are like, oh my God, they're from that country, so they're a virus. Oh my God, it's the foreign virus, it's the China virus, and people are judging entire populations of people because some virus is going around. What to speak of on the path of bhakti? We're looking at people according to their bodies, according to their material appearance, what color skin they have, and we're judging them. But what does Mahaprabhu say? Kiba vipra kiba nyasi shudra kereno ye Krishna tattvaveta se guru hoy. Whoever is completely absorbed in Krishna tattva, whoever understands, knows that, and is thinking about it, they're qualified to be guru. Whether or not they're a Brahmin, Kshatriya, Vaishya, Shudra, Brahmachari, Grihastha, Vanaprastha, Sannyas, or whatever, what have you. Mahaprabhu was not interested in any of that. We understand, Mahaprabhu said, Naham vipro na chanarapati napi vaishyo na shudro. I am none of these things. What is my identity? Gopi bhartu padakamalyo das das anudas. My only identity is that I am an eternal servant of the servant of Krishna, the beloved of the gopis. Why am I telling all of these things? Because Abhiram Thakur is one of these personalities who has some apparent external interesting nature. That from a mundane standpoint, people will be like, whoa, wait a second, that seems weird, it seems strange. He's offering pranam to someone and they're losing their life. But to the daughter of Nityananda Prabhu and to his son, who is it, Veer Chandra? When Veerbhadra, he offered his pranam and he saw, oh, nothing happened to him either. This is a divine personality. It is said that that moment he composed the Ashtakam in glorification of the son of Sri Nityananda Prabhu. Also, he offered pranam to, who was it, Srivas or Srinivas. And he realized nothing happened to this person when he's offering pranam. They're divine transcendental personalities. So this Abhiram Thakur, as he would whip, immediately praying would manifest. Like Srila Gurudev Maharaj, the devotees would tell us, his disciples, how he would sit there as he was speaking and he had a cane. And whoever was close, usually every day, he would hit at least one, like that. The devotees said they used to fight to get into that position where they would get the stick of Srila Gurudev Maharaj. Why? When one is the receiver of the focused mercy of Krishna or any pure devotee, this can burn thousands of lifetimes of anarthas. I'll give you an example. There were two personalities, Nalakuvera and Manigriva. These two persons were drunk. They were playing in a lake, quite naked. Two sons of Kuvera, the god of wealth. And they had so many beautiful apsaras also who were naked with them, playing and drinking and partying and having fun. And just then, a great personality, a great sage, Narada Muni came by. As soon as Narada Muni came by, all of those girls ran to the bushes, covered themselves in shyness, and gave respect and honor to him. But those two who were intoxicated by their wealth, by their bodily beauty, by their high birth, and by their education, the 4 disqualifications for bhakti, high education, because it makes one proud, they were rude to Narada Muni. Hey, why are you coming here and disturbing our fun? Basically, they were saying you should get lost and don't disturb. Narada Muni was like, they are the sons of my good friend Kuvera. And because we are so close, it is appropriate for me to also give some correction, some chastisement. But the chastisement of any pure devotee is never without its auspiciousness. Just like the whip of Abhiram Thakur, what's its name? Jai Mangal. Always victoriously auspicious. Always victorious, always auspicious. So Narada Muni cursed them, because you're hanging out like this, quite naked, like trees, then you should become trees. Be trees. Don't waste your time having to go through the rest of your life like this and then become trees later. Become trees immediately. They started turning into trees, and then they realized, we have made offense to Narada Muni. They fell at his feet and begged for mercy. And so he assured them that that is okay. Krishna himself will liberate you from these forms. So, within the curse of the pure devotee, there's always a blessing. Narada Muni cursed them to be trees, but the blessing was Krishna himself personally would liberate them. This is not a curse. This is an amazing blessing, also with a lesson in it. So these two trees later on became known as the Yamal Arjun trees in the courtyard of Nanda Maharaj. These two trees were able to witness all of the sweet pastimes of Krishna's babyhood. All of these sweet pastimes in the courtyard of Nanda Baba. Our Gurudev said, even today the trees are witnessing the pastimes of Krishna. Don't disturb them. Don't break the branches and pull the leaves or anything like that. We should understand that they're doing intense austerities. And there's proof of this when Raghunath Das Goswami was excavating Radhakund and Shyamakund. He was going to make Shyamakund like Radhakund, but the 5 Pandavas came to him in a dream, darshan, and said, please, we're doing austerities here on the banks of Shyamakund in the form of trees. Please don't cut us down. So you can see Shyamakund is not square like Radhakund. It is crooked like Shyam Sundar. Because Raghunath Das Goswami cut around those trees who are the 5 Pandavas doing austerities. That's why our Goswamis were going to a different tree every night. Because they were asking those trees, what pastimes are you seeing of Krishna? Please be merciful and reveal these within my heart. Every tree is Kalpataru, transcendental, and they can reveal this. So, I'm trying to backtrack. Where was I before I started talking about the trees?
That they were witnessing all the pastimes of Krishna, even though they were trees. They were witnessing the pastimes of Krishna. Nanda Baba used to wash his mouth there.
So these two trees, Yamal Arjun trees, that's what I was... Thank you, Sudevi. These two trees were there witnessing all the pastimes of Krishna. So many would go, Nanda Baba would spit his water after washing his mouth at the base of those trees. Krishna many times would touch those trees, play at those trees, play around those trees with his friends. And they remained there, witnessing the pastimes of Krishna all of that time. But then, one day, and I'm not going to go into the detail, Krishna found himself in a very difficult situation. His mother had successfully bound him to a grinding mortar. Around his waist and to a grinding mortar. Why? Because a grinding mortar was an accomplice to Krishna being a butter thief. So Mother Yashoda wanted to teach Krishna a lesson. You both have done this thing, so I'm going to bind you together so that you cannot make any problems. So what was Krishna doing? His friends were watching. Krishna was crawling around, pulling this grinding mortar behind him, and his friends were laughing and clapping. Woo! Show us some more, show us more. And Krishna was so happy. And as he was crawling, he crawled between these two trees, which were like coming out of one together. He crawled between them and something happened. That grinding mortar got stuck. And Krishna was playing with his friends at that point, but when it got stuck, suddenly Krishna turned back for one moment to see what is stopping me and from having my fun. And he looked at those trees with one moment of anger. It was directed anger at those trees. And even though he had touched them so many times, they were always seeing him. He was playing around them. Nanda Baba was spitting the water there, and Still they remained as trees, but that one moment that Krishna looked at them with a little bit of anger, the curse of Nard was broke. Immediately they manifested as these beautiful personalities. They offered so many beautiful prayers to Krishna, and then they circumambulated Krishna. Of course, the pastime is very big. When Krishna pulled, both of these trees were knocked down. All of these little boys were telling Nanda Baba, everyone, they were like, what happened, what happened? Oh, Krishna was pulling, the trees fell down, and then these two great personalities came out looking like demigods, and they offered prayers to him, and they circumambulated, and everyone just started laughing. Oh yeah, the stories that little kids tell. They just saw it like that. But later on we understand that these two personalities became, in Krishna Lila, the eternal associates of Krishna, known as Snigdhakanta and Madhukanta. Snigdhakanta means affection throat, and Madhukanta means sweet honey throat.
But the point was...
So these personalities are always glorifying Krishna, always glorifying his pastimes. But the point is, too, the curse of Narada Muni was only actually beneficial, because he's a transcendental personality. There is no ill effect in any of their dealings. And the directed anger of Krishna, because he's transcendental, there's no ill effect. It gave into his eternal pastimes, where they're always glorifying his names, forms, qualities, and pastimes in the assembly of the Brajavasi elders. So, the point I was making is that Abhinam Thakur may have seemed eccentric, but with his whip, he's able to awaken. And Srila Gurudeva Maharaj would do this with his stick. The devotees would fight to be in that position, and he would tap somebody, focused attention. Any of his classes, Baba, he would find one that class and focus all of the attention on them, and really, literally remove thousands of lifetimes of anarthas from their heart. I remember we were in San Jose with him. My father said, have you heard of Gurudeva Maharaj? And I'm like, yeah. I saw him in Los Angeles previously. And he's like, so what do you think? And I'm like, I've seen lots of people. I think he's the real deal. And he's like, do you think we should go and hear from him? I was like, yeah, it's probably the right thing to do. Because he was living quite close to there. And so we went to see him, but I told my father, I said, be careful. He picks one person in the crowd and just hammers them. So you should find any big person and sit behind them. So I believe he sat behind, maybe it was Chiranjeev Prabhu, and I sat behind Kishori Prabhu, and we were just kind of hiding. And the devotee whose house it was Markandeya Prabhu. Gurudeva Maharaj was like, Markandeya, isn't it? Oh, like to enjoy stool. He was talking so heavy. Markandeya was sitting there like, oh, Gurudeva Maharaj was just, you're trying to enjoy this material world, but you're just enjoying stool. Very strong, very heavy, but also full of affection, but just telling the truth. Such a way that he was removing thousands of lifetimes of anarthas. So if we see any apparent defect in any pure devotee, in this talk of Srila Gurudev, he was saying, oh, you should not judge any pure Vaishnava. Maybe their speech is a little harsh. Maybe it's a little difficult, a little harsh. And I remember back in 1996, when we first came to our Srila Gurudev, some devotees were telling us, oh, don't hear from Srila Trivikram Maharaj. He's different from Gurudev. He's not in the same mood. So you shouldn't hear from him. And so we were a little confused. But then I remember we were in front of Gurudev and he told us, because I remember when Srila Trivikram Maharaj was speaking.
Srila Trivikram Maharaj is...
Oh, Srila Trivikram Maharaj is the godbrother of our Srila Gurudev Bhaktivedanta Goswami Maharaj. He was one of the persons responsible for the conceptions of Mahaprabhu, and service to Radha and Krishna in Vrindavan, Brajabhav, to Srila Gurudev, him and Narottamananda Brahmachari. And they brought him to, really, they were the ones responsible for bringing him to his Gurudev, Srila Bhakti Pragyan Keshav Goswami Maharaj. So Gurudev and Srila Trivikram Maharaj had a very, very sweet, intimate relationship. Always mock fighting, but in a way that was very affectionate, but quite amusing as well. If you were ever in front of both of them simultaneously, you could experience the bliss and the happiness of seeing the sweetness of their relationship and even their mock fights. So our Gurudev told us, you should hear the classes of Trivikram Maharaj. You can learn so much from him. He may look mean, because he would sit there like that. He may look mean, but he's actually very sweet. And you can learn so much from him. So from that moment, we always went to his classes. And in a way, it was very reminiscent of how our Srila Prabhupada would speak. So for us, it was very, grounded. He would say, oh yes, you're pretending you're in, or anything like that. He said, but if I told you right now your wife was hit by a bus, if I told you right now that Krishna was dying of separation from the gopis, what difference would it make in your life? What would you change? But if I told you right now your wife was hit by a bus, you would run crying, oh my wife, my wife, my wife, like this. He said, you should know where you are. Don't pretend. So this is a very powerful instruction. Wow. Abhiram Thakur, friend of Krishna in Krishna Lila, known as Sridam Saka. Did pastimes, he's a Priya Narma Saka, assisting Krishna also to meet with Srimati Radhika, that intimate of a friend with Krishna. How can Krishna ever repay anyone who is helping him to meet with his dear most beloved Srimati Radhika? He cannot. So his heart is always with Sridam, and Sridam manifested as Abhiram Thakur, Mahaprabhu, Nityananda Prabhu, to give his mercy. Very powerful personality. But I just wanted to reiterate this verse by Rupa Goswami, Drishtai Svabhava Janitair Vapushashta Doshayat Na Prakritattvamiha Bhakta Janasya Pashyat Gangam Bhasam Na Kalabud Budapena Pankayat Brahma Dravatvam Apakachati Niradha. Goswami is saying, don't judge the pure devotee by their external characteristics. Don't judge them if they appear to have some disease, or if they are from a different country, or if they have a different color skin, or maybe they might have been born in the family of Muslims like Haridas Thakur, or in a family of demons like Prahlad was born in a family of demons, or Vibhishan. Don't judge them according to the externals. Even Pundarik Vidyanidhi, he looked like he was an external Vishayi enjoyer. But when Gadadhar Pandit witnessed, was it Mukunda? Yes. Mukunda chanted that prayer from Bhagavatam. Oho Bhakiyam Stanakala Kutam. How merciful is Krishna that even Putana came as a witch. The witch Putana came to kill him. Still, he gave her the eternal position as a nursemaid in Goloka Vrindavan. Hearing that, he forgot all of the external and went into ecstatic trance, ripping his expensive clothes off, throwing everything, all of his to the place, and was mad. All symptoms of trance. So just see, very careful. We come to Vrindavan and we can see garbage and sewage and pigs and whatever. But we see Vrindavan through the ears as we hear from the pure devotees. One should have darshan as they've heard it from pure devotees, not through our material eyes which will cheat us. So this verse by Rupa Goswami is so important. He felt it was so important to make sure that we do not make Vaisnava aparad, because that is the mad elephant offense which stunts us on our growth, our progress in bhakti. That he has placed this verse here, comparing any of these external apparent faults to the external apparent faults within the transcendental waters of the Ganga, who is really Krishna, completely transcendental through and through, but the mud, the bubbles, the foam, even dead bodies, this does not make her impure. So in this, the example, if you saw pure gold in the sewage, any intelligent person would understand that. He said you would make sure no one's seeing you digging in the sewage, pour some water in there to clean it off, and you would remove that and clean it. You can take gold from any place which even might appear dirty. In the same way, a pure devotee, although they might appear to have some external characteristics, some mannerisms, some external defects, even maybe a little harshness in their character, but we should not look at those things. We should see the essence of their heart. We should see the nature of their love and devotion and purity, and we should respect them accordingly. So Brahma Dravapam Apagachati Nirdharmai, that they are transcendental, they are pure, and we should offer our pranam to them, we should hear from them, we should respect them, and we should receive the mercy that they want to give. Shri Abhiram Thakur Ki Jai.
I just wanted to add very quickly that Srila Bhaktivedanta Bharati Maharaj would say that on the appearance and disappearance days of Vaishnavas, it is so auspicious to glorify them, and that by hearing their glories, by hearing their pastimes and the lessons that we learn from them, it will purify our hearts and give us all auspiciousness. So he says there's no difference between appearance or disappearance. All of it is auspicious for us.
He would always, in this regard, Bhagavan Tiner Smaran Hoy Sarva Vigna Vinasham. And then it goes into part 2. The glories of Guru, Vaishnava and Bhagavan. Guru, Vaishnava, Bhagavan, Tiner Smaran, to remember their glories. Tiner Smaran Hoy Sarva Vigna Vinasham. All ignorance, all anarthas that are present in the heart can be destroyed. And the next verse says, and what will manifest in its place? All auspicious things which are favorable for bhakti. And if we avoid remembering them and their glories, then this is also considered aparad, because they are manifesting to us through their appearance and disappearance days as a remembrance, as an opportunity. So through that day, they're actually extending more mercy to us, and if we neglect or disrespect, then we're also guilty of aparad. Srila Bhaktivedanta Bharati Maharaj would say. So, but you see, like today, just even though we don't know so much about Abhiram Thakur, but how many different subjects can be manifested by his mercy. All of these important, very valuable lessons that our Gurudev and Guru Varga give because of the mercy of such a great person. Thakur Ki Jai. Chaitanya Prabhu ki jai, Prem Purushottam Shakinanda Gaura Hari ki jai, Shri Radha Bihari ki jai, Ram Paravan Sarkar ki jai, Viraj Maharaj ki jai, Hari Nama Sankirtan ki jai, Hare Krishna Mahamantra ki jai, Guru Bhaktivedanta ki jai, Nitai Gaur Premanande Hari
Thank you, dear devotees, for joining us on our wonderful lockdown Kirtan Sangha. Thank you for giving us the opportunity to do our Guru Seva, to travel and preach and inspire on his behalf. We've been in so many homes all over the world tonight. So thank you so much for encouraging us, for joining us, and for doing Kirtan with us. And we hope to see you tomorrow. Dandavat Pranam.
Dandavat Pranam, Radhe Radhe, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Not working.